Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bodied, a Cloud9 fan cast. As always, I'm your host, Havokpus, and I'm joined by frozencreek.
Hello. Nothing really has happened this week, so I don't have anything random to include. Oh,
Yeah, there's not.
a random thing. I'm starting my first Dungeons and Dragons campaign tonight. Never played
Oh,
before,
sick.
so
What character did you roll?
we haven't totally done all that. We're kind of like starting the character creation tonight. So I
Oh,
have an idea of what I want to do, but since I've never done it before,
mhm,
I'm gonna see if it's cool with them with what I have in mind. So we'll
okay.
see. I'll have more information once my character's made. I've never played before, so
I actually have a friend. They live in Canada, but I have a friend, and she has a really sick D&D idea for a character that she's wanted to do if she ever gets the chance to do D&D, and it's essentially like it's a specialty kind of class where she's a mimic. So like she's sort of like a shapeshifter. And so it's like mimic rogue. So like you're a shapeshifter and you're also like a rogue. So you're like kind of doing like cool like shapeshifty stuff because that's what mimics can do. And she's just taking it farther than just it's the treasure chest. And it's like, oh, you can shapeshift into a lot of stuff. And you're also kind of like an assassin type thing. And it's a
oh,
really
nice.
neat concept.
Where in can and does she live?
Oh, she lives in Alberta.
Okay, that's way too far.
Oh yeah, it's way too far. I
Ontario is a
cannot.
2-hour drive.
Yeah, I cannot.
Alberta is
I
probably like a
cannot.
12-hour drive
Yeah, I cannot.
minimum.
I cannot just go up there for the weekend and hang out.
No, yeah, that's way too far.
Yeah,
But I
my,
digress.
my my personal D&D character would just be very strong and be about punching things.
Yeah, I'm hoping to have a bard. I'm hoping to have a half
Ooh,
elf bard.
that sounds really good. I've always found like the bard classes like really fascinating because
Yeah.
it's this really interesting support class where it's like they buff your party up through like music and they can do a bunch of other really weird stuff.
Yeah, and it's like not really the same type of normal clash you kind of see in um most instances of fantasy role playing stuff. Like no one's like, I'm gonna be a bard. That's so cool. Everyone's like, I'm beat the shit out of things
Bards are kind of the nerds
with my
of the
fists
fantasy
or
world. No one
bend
wants to be a
earth.
bard.
Yeah. So I'm hoping I can do that where like my characters like expect to grow up and become like a spellcaster of some sort. And then he's just like, no, I'd rather just play guitar or something. So I'm
It's
hoping
a.
that's what I can do.
I don't want to go to magician college, Dad. I want to start work on my music.
Yeah, exactly. The same,
No one
exactly,
understands me.
just like that. So we'll see if that flies.
Yeah, for sure, and definitely maybe we can have a segment at the beginning of each episode where you like give us like a really short breakdown of how your campaign is progressing.
Yeah, I'll keep you guys as updated as I can. I mean, I've never done it before, so I'm always trying to find people to talk to about it because I don't know anybody who plays.
Yeah, for sure. But this is not a D&D podcast. This is a Cloud9 podcast. So we should probably kick it into high gear. There actually wasn't a lot that happened over the past week. Rainbow Six and Rocket League was at Dreamhack Valencia, and it didn't go too well. Rainbow Six actually got crushed because they had to play against Vitality, and Vitality's a very good Rainbow Six team. So they got crushed by them in both of the matches that they had to play against them. So they got kicked out kind of early. And for Rocket League, they went to day 3, which I think maybe had been in like quarterfinals, and they got reverse swept by PSG. So C9 was kind of dropped out of DreamHack Valencia kind of prematurely in both of the teams that were sent there, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, they kind of just ran into a juggernaut. The Rainbow Six team did of 2 teams in a row. So unlucky, but still good experience into the fact that they came to our hemisphere.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm just glad that they were able to play some and have an okay time. You will be able to catch the Rainbow Six team. This is from Tifa, which is like she's a manager for a few of our teams. She manages the Rainbow Six team. The next time you'll see them is at the Relay Major APAC qualifier on the 20th. I'm not sure what time specifically, but it's a very important tournament for them because they have to like place very high. Like if they get first place, they secure their spot at the Relay Major Relay. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. They secure their spot for the major. So it's a very big event. It's very important. Hopefully the boys can pull through and have a really good tournament. I really want to see them participate in a major. Just because they put in a lot of work. They do really well in their own region for the pro league. So I'm hoping that we just see more of them and they can continue to improve. And I want to see them do more stuff.
When is that again?
It's on the 20th.
Okay, so 2-ish weeks.
Yes.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
And I really hope that the team does improve because Rainbow Six is actually a really interesting game to watch. Like I hate playing it because of how it's paced and everything, but it's interesting combining sort of the hero shooter elements where you have like specific characters that have specific abilities and loadouts, and combine that with like the extremely like tactical, sort of like strategy and the sort of the tactical like pacing of like Counter-Strike. So you're sort of taking like an Overwatch and then ramming like Counter-Strike play and sort of like strategy and everything into it. So it's a very interesting game to watch. So I hope our team can do well so they can stick around for a while because outside of our core teams, Rainbow Six is one of those teams where it's kind of if you don't do well, you kind of get cut. Unfortunately, so hopefully they do well so they can stay around at least a bit longer.
Yeah, it's always nice to have more teams to follow. So
yeah. But hold on one sec. I am okay. Perfect. There's also the next for those World of Warcraft fans out there, and I know there are several. We have another summer NA Cup, the third cup actually. I don't know why they're calling it each week or whatever, like cups. It's weird. It's a weird format, but C9 this week is going to be in the number 3 cup. It actually starts today. It looks like.
Today is Thursday.
It says the 11th on the wiki. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, but probably won't come out to Friday.
Right. But it looks like they're going to be playing against Method Orange at some point in the losers round 3. Looking at the bracket here, and then hopefully they'll move on. I'm sure that C9 can do it. They are usually very good. And their WoW team is usually really good, and when they're able to play their game and get their comp kind of going, they can do a lot. So hopefully the World of Warcraft boys can pull out yet another cup victory.
Yeah, if they're playing tonight, meaning Thursday, hopefully I'll be able to watch after D&D.
Yeah, I'll have to check and see like when they're playing and stuff.
Yeah, so keep your eyes open because we don't know.
Yeah. But that's I guess that's all. I guess as a reminder, just for everyone who may not be aware, the new CSGO roster will be performing this weekend at LA Blast Pro. And since it is their hometown, C9 is looking to do sort of like a meet and greet type event. Their first match is against Team Liquid, which I'm going to be honest with you first, and that's going to be rough.
Yeah, yeah, most likely, but I might, I might as well just throw them out.
Yeah,
I'll let them run around a little bit.
it sounds like you're describing them as like children, just like yeah, they haven't been out in a while. Just let them run around the yard. It's fine.
I was watching a soccer game. It's the friendly season, and it's like this like third division team versus the former European champions, and it's just like, well, they're gonna lose, so they just give them a run. They just run around.
Yeah.
Kind of what
Um.
it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Not
sure.
quite that extreme though.
Yeah. I do think we do kind of need to set our expectations kind of low, just because like this roster hasn't been together for very long. I'm sure they have I'm sure they're
Weeks
practicing
maybe.
very hard, but they haven't been practicing for very long. And I think we need to like give this roster space to really like gel together and develop before we can really start to be super critical of them. So I'm definitely going to watch the event or try to watch the event, and just try to enjoy it and hopefully hope that C9 can look decent and at least have some decent results as their first sort of event with this like brand new look that they're bringing.
Yeah, it is the first time to see our new team plays, so there will be hiccups, but it is exciting to finally see the C9 team that we've been waiting over a year for at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm really excited to see Tens because everyone has hyped up Tens as everyone's saying how he's like a very like a Stewie 2K type figure. You know, he he's a young player. I think Cloud9 is actually maybe the first like big org that he's actually played for. I don't think he's really played for an org before then. So this is a really this is a really big deal for him as well as the type of talent that he brings. I think a lot of people have been saying for a while that Ten should actually join C9. So him finally being on the team, I think is very important. So hopefully he can put up some good numbers and we can keep him around for a while and really develop that talent. So I'm very excited to see how this team performs.
Yeah, and he cross dresses kind of cosplays like Sneaky does. So
Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, oh, sick! Now we can have like a cosplay off.
yeah, so him, who's Zazel and Sneaky,
Yeah,
should be good.
we can have the rest of Cloud9 sort of be like judges, and they can have like a runway battle, kind of like in Zoolander, and we can see who's the prettier C9 player.
Yeah, it is a free content, easy win.
Yeah. Well, let's move. I guess we're moving straight into LCS. Overwatch didn't
Yeah,
play.
Overwatch didn't play.
I think the British Hurricanes played something, but I wasn't able to watch it.
Is the stage for Overwatch done this week?
This week is the stage playoff.
Oh, okay. So well, we're not in
And
that. So
then yeah, this week is stage playoffs. Next week is a break, and then the week after is when stage 4 starts.
all right. So July 25th is when the stage starts, and we don't play until the 26th. Have they
Yeah.
announced if they were going to do the rollout yet?
I don't think so. It's still kind of under speculation if that's still going to be a thing or not. I haven't seen any rumors or anything yet moving away from that, but until I'm not calling anything until like it is the stage and we see what happens. If the rollout doesn't go through, I think London will probably have a tougher time than if it does. But we can talk about that as the stage gets closer.
Yeah, I would think that if they were gonna do it, they would have to announce it like at the latest on the last day of like the stage playoff.
I think they're going to do it probably.
But you think that they'd announce it now?
Yeah, I think what they're going to do probably is they'll probably announce it during that off split, like that week off before the next stage starts, just because.
Yeah, but that's not a long time to practice.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless
unless
like
how
the teams
Overwatch
already
League
know.
Yeah, how the Overwatch League has run their league is very confusing to me because how they make changes is very weird, and doing this whole stage model is kind of odd, and like how like they make changes to the game is very weird, and it them trying to like work around that and like not make too many big changes is kind of weird. Like the LCS is able to have a franchise league, and they make big changes like every few patches, you know, and teams just have to roll with it. But teams are able to have like, I believe they give teams like a 2 week period after like a patch goes live to practice for the new changes. I believe
It's about a week and a half for NA teams.
Okay, that's still that's still a pretty good window. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Overwatch League does. Usually they don't do fairly big changes, and I think that can be good and bad. I think Blizzard has really struggled with, and I've said this before, but Blizzard has kind of struggled with how to really balance their game. And you know, if they make too many big changes, it really hacks up everything, that throws everything into this weird state. But if they don't make big enough changes, then the game just gets really stale, and you're just seeing the same kind of compositions and the same heroes over and over and over again, and the same strategies, and that can also get really boring and really frustrating to see and play. And I think it's also just the type of game. I'm rambling a bit, but they have a lot more issues than like balancing a MOBA would be, and I think they definitely maybe need to reevaluate how they balance the game and how they make changes to it.
Oh yeah, it's kind of I don't know. It if they were to roll lock it, it would be a really big change to how the teams are required to practice. So I think they know the patch that the next stage is going to be played on already. They just don't know if it's roll locked. Unless they know and they're just not required to say it out loud.
Yeah, it could be. I have no idea.
Yeah.
When we finish recording, I'll definitely try to look into it, and I'll try to get some information for the next episode next week, for sure.
Okay. Well, we continue on. I'll look at our Overwatch and see if anything says anything.
Yes. Well, LCS wise, C9 kind of put up and shut up because they had a really good weekend, Frozen.
I think that's probably an understatement.
I guess to prefix this, Licorice was actually out this weekend because he was having a wrist injury. It was actually something he was dealing with for a bit now, but it had gotten to a point where it was not manageable anymore. And so Licorice stepped out for the weekend, and we put Kumo in. And I have to say, Kumo looked just as good, if not maybe a tiny bit better than Licorice. And he, what had blown me away was just like how LCS ready Kumo looked.
Oh yeah, like he laned just fine against Impact. Like against Impact, he looked really good. He did have some troubles against Huni, but he did get counterpicked, I believe. And
I was you go ahead.
Yeah, so he did have some troubles against Huni in lane, but Svenskeren made sure to come help him out quite a bit. So I mean I want to say I was really impressed with him, but I think we knew that he was good enough. So and
yeah, for sure.
He fit right in. I think his champion pool might be a little bit different, but I will say that his Jace is 10 times better than Licorice is.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely puts a positive spin on the whole NA Jace meme. But I was just really impressed by Kumo. His laning was really good. His mechanics in terms of, you know, the outplay that he made when Impact tried to go for a tower dive on him was amazing. His macro sense and his team play was also just phenomenal. He was like he was splitting exactly when he needed to be splitting. He was grouped exactly when he needed to be grouped. And in the clutch game, you know, sure he had a bunch of deaths, but literally any time that he died, whether it was because Clutch was like dedicating a bunch of members to try to pick him off because they were behind, or if it was in a team fight, C9 like would use that death to really capitalize and trade objectives or get a lot more kills in return. And sometimes that's just how you need to be as kind of a selfless player. And Kumo did that, I think, perfectly. And it was just really awesome to see, a player like that do that, especially when he hasn't had much LCS stage time.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say I'm surprised, but I feel like I wasn't really all that surprised that he looks so good. I just didn't expect us to pull out the mildly, or not mildly, the hard cheddar cheese with the Vigar pick. I think that was the big thing that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely the thing that surprised me the most, I think. And when I saw the Vigar, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Why are you picking Vigar? But looking at the comp as a whole, it actually makes a lot of sense. And there's poke and siege potential from the Jace, and you have the Trundle and the Lux to help the Vigar pickups just so he can unload all this upfront damage with his ultimate, which Niski did perfectly, by the way. As an aside, I know I've been kind of critical of Niski lately, but he played Vigar like that match was perfect by him. He played phenomenally. And you have all this upfront damage from the Vigar, and then Sivir is used to speed up the team so you can get into cage range and CC range quicker, as well as have a bit of disengage, as well as some back end kind of consistent damage throughout once that spell rotation from Vigar kind of goes through and you're having to wait for cooldowns. So the composition actually made a lot of sense. Kind of looking at it, I think that sometimes with comps like that, as you're like living in the moment of seeing champions get picked, it's difficult to kind of see like, okay, well, why did they pick this together with this? But how the reasoning why they picked that and how they played it was really, really good.
Yeah, and they drafted it into a really good comp too. The Corki doesn't have some insane laning potentials, so Vigar could kind of just sit there and farm and hang out a little bit with Corki. He outscales him kind of in the sense that he has a unlimited nuke, and then Lucian and Sejuani, like all these guys with these small dashes. If you can get them inside the cage, like they're super screwed, because if they go to dash, like you saw for I think it was Niski's second kill of the game and first solo kill on Jensen. Like he put the cage down, and then Jensen just jumped into the wall.
Yeah, it was that solo kill I was going to mention was really interesting and kind of transition to my next point that Teal actually kind of disrespected C9 in a way because they were making a lot of really greedy plays that match. Jensen was he valked right into the cage and he disrespected Niski's damage. There was also a play where Doublelift was pushing top and he had greeted for a few extra minions, and then he forced his team to burn a couple of teleports to make sure that he could get out. So that was taking a lot of map pressure away from Team Liquid. And as a whole, I think there was just a lot of like TL made some really weird decisions and some kind of greedy decisions that match, which was kind of uncharacteristic of them. And I think that was partially what helped C9 beat them, was that C9 was, and I think it was because C9 had learned their lessons from Rift Rivals, and probably the week before Rift Rivals, they were looking at a lot of their mistakes and tightening up their play. And they were making really great decisions and using a lot of really smart play. And TL was kind of making more greedy plays, and that kind of defeated themselves.
Yeah, it might have been some of the most polished gameplay we've seen from them, like the split. I thought that they made some good macro decisions overall. Like the rotations to kill a double of the one time, or maybe not kill him. I forgot, but to get all that they got for that turret that double have tried to trade with them. So that was really good. Wasn't Jensen a Vigar like a one trick at one
Yeah,
point in time?
that's the thing that I kind of found ironic. Like before he played before he like initially got signed to Cloud9, he was a Vigar one trick and he was a really good Vigar player and he went by like Vigod X.
Yeah, and then he also one trick Zed or something too.
I maybe, but I thought it was kind of ironic that Niski beat him with the champ that was like the signature champion that Jensen was known for that kind of got him recognized and signed as a pro.
Yeah, he looked like he had never played it before. Or like he had never like played a game against it in general.
Yeah, that was kind of the weird thing, you know. Maybe it was just because it may be a thing of like he hasn't seen that matchup in so long because Vigar isn't really a champion that you see played a lot in solo queues. Maybe he's just not used to that matchup. But you'd think with like being known as Vigod X, you know, you have to have a familiarity with that champion. You have to know that champion inside and out. So it's kind of surprising that he looked like he didn't.
Yeah, and I mean Vigar's been like mildly changed, but like not really that much. So
yeah,
it was just kind of weird to see him get his ass beat like that. But we did say last week that the way Cloud9 would win this is through not some like Swiss cheese, but just through like a mild cheddar cheese. So I think they successfully did that.
Yeah, for sure. I think they won using their brains instead of trying to win it through their brawn and trying to fight a lot. And I'm really glad that we saw a more cerebral Cloud9. And it was a match that I was, you know, in this weekend as a whole, it was a great weekend to watch, and I felt really, really good that they were coming out really strong after some Rift Rivals struggles. But who do we play next week, Frozen?
I just had it.
I believe it's Echo Fox and TSM.
Yeah, Echo Fox at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. I actually cannot watch that. And then Sunday against TSM at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to a concert on Saturday night, so I will not be able to watch that.
Oh, that's fun. Who are you gonna go see?
Carly Rae Jepsen.
Oh, fun.
No shame. I'm going.
I hope she plays "Call Me Maybe" because that's the only song I know.
She will, but her last two.
You got to save that for the encore because that's like the.
Or what?
You have to save that one for the encore because that's one of like the really big songs. You never play your really big songs during like the main set. You always save those for the encore to get people really like excited and to stick around.
Yeah, I've looked at one set list, so I know it's on there. So I guess we'll just have to see. I mean, I'm not like a giant fan of her, but I do really like her, and my girlfriend likes her too. And it was all like $100.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Yeah, so I won't be able to watch that. Also, I have to get my LCS finals tickets from my friend also.
Oh, that's right. They're going to be in Detroit this year.
Yeah, I have a friend who works for the company sponsoring the event, so I got early access tickets. So
yeah, we'll have to have some
passes.
We'll have to have some like live correspondence from you.
Yeah, I'll figure something out.
Okay.
I'm pretty stoked.
But talking about this weekend, I think Echo Fox is not a threat. They switched out Rush for Mike Young, but I'm kind of disappointed that Mike Young has fallen. Like he had such a great like opening season when he first premiered on the LCS stage, and everyone's like, "You guys better look out for Mike Young. He's going to be the next big thing in the jungle." And he just completely died, and now he's like he's just not performing to the level that everyone expected him to, and it's kind of odd. And plus, you know, the rest of Echo Fox is really struggling. You know, So I'm not like afraid of Echo Fox. As more as I'm just like disappointed that Echo Fox is struggling this much. I think their record right now is like 2-7.
Oh yeah, they're dead last, all on their own. So not ideal for them. So I feel like that this is the type of match that we would drop just out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, because you over prepare for TSM and you underestimate Echo Fox.
Something like that, yeah. But we should be able to just beat them in our sleep. But I don't know. I don't know why
we
we
should
would
be
lose
able
this.
to.
So let's count that up as a win. Not like as a win, but I feel like there's not too much
Right.
to say about that.
Yeah.
Also this week, CLG and Team Liquid will be playing to get a share first place, assuming we win. TSM, I guess, could jump up there if both CLG and Team Liquid lose. There actually also is a scenario this week, I believe, where we can get or we could clinch a spot for playoffs already if a team ends at 5-5 and we win both of our games. The highest that the teams at 5-5 could get would be to 9-5. Or they would be 9-7, and we would be 9-7 even if we lost out. So that would be the only scenario I think where we could clinch playoffs this week. But I think it would be tough because Golden Guardians beat us the first time around, and they're currently in 6th.
Yeah. Yeah, the standings are interesting right now. I will say Cloud9's actually looking really good because we're at like 7-3, I think, which is actually like in the grand scheme of the standings, that's actually really good. Like,
yeah,
for
it's
the split.
where you want to be.
We're
just
for
past
sure.
halfway, so I don't think we can perform the same way in the second half and get first, like win losses wise. But if we can cut down one loss, there's no reason that we can't get can't get a bye in playoffs.
Yeah, I think that in the grand scheme of things, I think that, and especially if C9 continues to play well, I think they should definitely at least get into playoffs. I'm not sure about what seed they'll get, but they should get into playoffs. I think that we're going to be looking at this TSM game as a big litmus test. TSM's been doing fairly good. They did lose to CLG, though, and I actually did watch that game, and it looked just like they were kind of all over the place. I actually listened to the mic check video that Riot put out, and the comms just look really messy. And it's something that's kind of expected since the way that Smoothie kind of shot calls and everything. It feels kind of scattered, but I think in that match especially they seemed like really scattered. I think did they put a Cadian in over Grig for that match? I can't remember.
I think
yeah,
was in that
I'm not sure what their jumping situation is either. If they're still trying to figure out if they want Acadian or Grig or what, but our success may be contingent on which jungler they start. I don't know, but it'll be a tough match. I think that C9 should probably look into just kind of playing how sort of the meta has actually just kind of went and evolved. I've noticed that everything is now like more about side lanes and getting your not your side lanes, your solo lanes ahead, and bot lane just having your bot lane kind of go even or maybe a bit ahead or a bit behind. I'm not sure if you've noticed that, but that's something that I've at least noticed. So I think if Svenskeren just has a good game and plays smart like he's been doing, and if we just get top ahead, get mid ahead, I think we should have a really good chance at winning. But we'll have to see how how the draft goes and who's going to be playing on either team.
Yeah, I'm also interested to see if Licorice comes back this week. Like he sat out a full week of practice and Kuma played well, so maybe they could maybe they spent the week getting licorice back up, and then they're just gonna play Kumo again for the mild cheddar cheese.
I was thinking something very similar. Since Kumo had such a really great week, I was thinking if Kumo's playing so great, there's really no rush to put Licorice in. Let him really heal, let him get back up to form, and just put in Kumo and have Kumo play. Play how he's been playing. If there's no rush and there's no risk of like him performing poorly, why risk like putting Licorice in like too early when you can really let him like gradually get back up to where he was and us not really miss a beat with something.
Yes, and I believe they waited up until the last day they had to for rosters. So I guess we'll just have to watch Academy to see if Kumo plays both games or not, which I doubt he will because he hasn't been playing games with the Academy. I assume it's because of Licorice's wrist. I assume he's been subbing in and playing games in scrims all year. So that's my main question going into it from a Cloud9 side, is who plays. But I think this is a match that we should be able to win. We kind of threw our match against them earlier in the season just by being a little bit greedy all over the place. But
that was also a match before Rift Rivals, wasn't it? That was the week before Rift Rivals. I think it was.
And then
yeah, it was, because I remember I was very upset and it was like, we can't play like this in Rift Rivals. And then Rift Rivals comes around and we're like, they might have been sick like the week leading up to that, and then they got super sick, and not sick in a good way. But hopefully we'll have a better time around this time. I think if they play like they played last weekend, I know that's kind of like a kind of an if, but if they play like they did last week, I think we should have another 2-0 week on our hands, and we should be looking really good for playoffs.
Yeah. I think if we can show the Cloud9 that we saw last week, and not the Cloud9 that we saw the 2 weeks prior, I don't see how we can lose this against a TSM team that has been questionable at times with their junglers. So I'm hoping to see smart drafting and smart play from our boys, and we should be able to pick it up.
Yeah, I think if C9 can really like put pressure on that area and really make TSM feel uncomfortable because they're in a weird spot, and really pressure that sort of like indecision and maybe like a weak point of play, I think that'll definitely help. But
I pretty much think that's all I have.
Yeah, I have nothing else.
Alrighty, I guess that's it.
Yep. Well, thanks everyone for listening to Bodied. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at C9Bodied. And we'll see you next week.
Yep. Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.